Let's talk a little bit more about our birthright and why it is so important to be able to think and speak and act and choose for yourself. So a few weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, I think, I did a video on, if there was no internet, if you had no outside voices coming at you, would you be able to listen to your own intuition, be able to go inward, and be able to get the answers for yourself? And that is ultimately what Joshua learned to do, was silence the voices outside of him. And so with that being said, I'm going to talk a little bit about our birthright and our ability to choose for ourselves, and also how it has to do with how when Satan fell, when Lucifer fell, his creative power was taken from him. And he no longer has the ability to create outside of technology. He can use the technologies of the world to create with, but as far as creative power that came from father and mother, he no longer has that. And so the only way that he can create is through technology. Okay, well, right now I'm holding a phone in my hand. That's technology. A TV, that's technology. So if God can be in all places at one time and Satan has no creative power, how can he be in one place or multiple places at one time? Through technology, through the televisions, through the internet. And he owns the airways. Satan owns the airways. He owns the movie industries. He owns the news outlets. He owns the internet. He owns these things. Okay, they're the technology. And so how can you place wars? How can you create contentions and divisions and wars and fear in people? The best way to do that is through technology, because that is how Satan can be in more than one place at one time, because that is the only way he can do it, is through technology. So if we understand that, then we understand why it is so important for us to use our God-given birthright to be able to think and speak and choose and act for ourselves. Because if we believe everything that we hear in the news and on television, we are sheep being taken to our slaughter, because Satan owns the airways. So may we understand the importance of our birthright, of being able to step away from the technologies of the world and be able to, no matter what is being broadcast on the airways, that we can step back and use our God-given birthright to go inward and use our, tap back in with our spirit, be able to use our intuition and be able to discern for ourselves. Because ultimately, this is how Satan creates wars, is by flooding the people in fear, in destruction, in division, in chaos, and it's done through the airways. So may we understand the importance of our birthright, of being able to think and speak and choose and act for ourselves. And that just because something is on the internet, just because something is on the television, something is on the news, something is in the movies, does not mean that that's how it really is. Because remember, the airways are Satan's playground. They're his movie. So may we understand that we are not to fall prey any longer to these things, and that this illusion that everything we see is correct, that it is not, that we can use our birthright to choose for ourselves, that we don't have to go with the masses because they say that something occurred in a certain way, or a fear that is being placed out on the people, or chaos or division or strife. So may we be more alert and pay more attention to what we are actually hearing, and be able to, when we hear things, go inward and immediately ask questions and not take things for face value that we hear on the airways, because that is the only creative power that Lucifer has, is literally through technology, because he lost his ability to create any other way when he fell. So maybe see that from a bigger perspective, a more full perspective of how Satan can deceive. As in Revelation, it says Satan deceives the whole world. How can he do that? It's literally done through technology, through the airways. So food for thought. Have a glorious day.